هو بس أنا في البداية حابة أذكر حضراتكم بمجال عمل اللجنة دي. طبعا اللجنة دي من أهم لجان الدستور الغذائي، لأنها بتراجع وبتقر كل أحكام النصوص الإجرائية اللي بتحيلها الأجهزة الفرعية واللجان الفرعية للدستور الغذائي، واللي بيتم صياغتها في دليل إجراءات الدستور الغذائي الكودكس بروسيدور مانيوال. وطبعا يعني هي اللجنة بتبقى معنية بأي تعديل
is focused on the general principles, and any amendment is submitted to the General Principles Committee.
اللجنة هيتم انعقادها
The
في
committee will be
معظم
convened in the
الأيام
period from 2 to
في
6
مدينة
June
فرانس
in
الشهر
France,
الجاي إن شاء الله.
Lille City,
طبعا
next
أول
month.
بند في أجندة
First
الاجتماعات
item,
زي ما هو معروف في
as
كل
known in
اجتماعات
every
الدستور الغذائي،
meeting of Codex,
بيبقى اعتماد
will be the
العمل.
adoption of the agenda.
تاني بند من
Second,
أجندة اجتماعات اللجنة
second item,
خاص هي السكرين. أنا مش عارفة ظاهرة
I
لحضراتكم.
can see the screen.
نعم مهندس واصلة. نعم.
It is available now.
البند الثاني من جدول
The second item
هو المسائل الناشئة
that will be on matters arising from the Codex Alimentarius Commission and its subsidiary bodies.
الحقيقة إن المستند ده اتضمن
This item outlines the updates on the procedural amendments, strategic planning, and new work proposals.
ودي طبعا تم الانتهاء
That includes actions for improved consistency, and the CCGP34 and 47 is invited to review key items that will be focused on procedures to enhance coordination in food codex. It was requested from the members of the CCGP to review the key items requiring further discussion and recommendations for the amendments. That is in brief regard to item 2. Item 3, information on activities of the FAO and WHO organizations relevant to the work of CCGP. That document provides updates by FAO and WHO on key activities supporting Codex work. That can include some parts of the Codex Trust Fund and e-learning, strategic frameworks and initiatives on food safety and agri-food systems in transformation. The CCGP is informed of ongoing efforts to enhance national capabilities, promote science-based standards, and encourage investment. And we can find that there is encouraging of investment in food safety systems. Then we move to the agenda item 4. This item is very important because it is on the reviewing the inconsistencies in language and superseded content. We can find that this item has sub-items. First sub-item, 4.1, Section 3, for the Section 3 amendments in regard to guidelines for subsidiary bodies. That presents proposed updates to Section 3, as I indicated, of the Codex Procedural Manual in order to align guidelines for subsidiary bodies with current practices. Also, we can find that this tackles several amendments regard to the information on the host governments of the committees, coordination committees, and presidencies, and who will write the reports regard to these meetings. Also, we can find that this document opened proposals requested to provide and review the proposed items or regard to the guidelines of the teamworks, whether electronic or physical. They recommended to adopt the updated text to be adopted in the CAC 48 by the end of the year. The second part
الجدول رقم 4
of agenda item 4
هو خاص
regard to the inconsistencies apart from section 3
رقم 3 من دليل إجراءات الدستور
from the CXGP.
والمستند ده تم
This
عرض فيه
report presented several items and efforts exerted to tackle the inconsistencies or the outdated text in the procedural guidelines. In this document, you can find that the committee is invited to review member proposals that is included in Annex 1, Appendix 1, and the committee is briefed on the amendment of inconsistencies by the General Secretary of the Food Codex. It is available in Appendix 2. Then we can move to the item 5. This document includes the proposal and update to the guide to the procedure for amendment, revision of Codex text in the procedural guide. We can find that this document included the proposals and updates and to give clearer definitions for correction, amendment, and revision of the Codex texts in section 2.1. First, the correction. Second, the amendment of texts, then reviewing the texts. That was mentioned in section 2.1 from the procedural guide. This document requested the members to review the updated framework that consists with the publication practices in the FAO in order to boost transparency and to boost management and to avoid any inconsistencies. Item 6 in regard to amendment to principles on participation of international NGOs. And this for the aim to enhance transparency, traceability, and consistency in updating Codex standards. It proposes clarifying the double representation rule for all international NGOs with Codex observer status that acquired the observer status. This amendment ensures consistent application of this rule, regardless of an international NGO's status with FAO or WHO, as we cleared and explained in order to ensure integrity and transparency in decision-making process inside the Food Codex, and to ensure the balance of opinions. Item 7 that includes reviewing of resource-efficient practices for new work proposals mentioned in the procedural guide. This item tackles how we can benefit from the current rules in the guide and to support best practices in the use of resources when reviewing the new proposals. And in specific, we can find that the main focus was on the proposals to be included, but it is not in the under the Food Codex. We know that several committees are posed like the milk and the grains. This document focuses mainly on the proposals issued by these committees. This for enhancing the reviewing the new works more effectively and flexibility in order to establish the new committee if there is no necessity. Then we move to agenda item 8, which is reviewing the application of the criteria and procedural guidelines for Codex committees and ad hoc intergovernmental task forces working by correspondence. As I explained, for example, the Grain Committee, we can find that this item tackles reviewing the committees of Food Codex and to provide more clear guidelines and more flexibility to integrate virtual tools like electronic meetings, Codex Forum, for example. This for improving the quality of work inside these committees and to have wider framework and to consolidate the practices. Item 9, set by Codex for any other updates or businesses to be tackled and addressed. Item 10, date and place of next session. That will be in 2026. And at the end, item 11, which is the adoption of the report. By that, this is a brief on the analysis of items included in the 44th session. And at the end, we aim to strengthen Codex global role and to follow updated practices and use of digital tools and to have principles for transparency. This is our main target for the Food Codex. By that, I reached the end of my presentation. I wish that was fruitful and simple as much as I can.